Hello everyone, and welcome to this week's episode of Idiots in the Wild. First up we have Don't Leave Your Karen Unleashed by Nixen. Let me just preface by saying I absolutely love and grew up with Karens, and I know a lot of amazing Karens, and I have nothing against them. There are some amazing ones in this community that I consider close friends and allies. I just want to draw attention to the presence of Karens in our area. They can be a real threat to the peace of our neighborhood, as well as to the reputation of women and mothers at large. While the origins of Karens are unknown, there are a few traits that are commonly associated with Karens, such as a heightened sense of entitlement, a vast amount of privilege, and a sheepish following of societal norms and rules. If you encounter a Karen, they will immediately overreact, assume ill intent, and will pursue and accost you. While being antagonized and yelled at by a Karen, do not try to rationalize with them or ask them to calm down. Things will in fact come up, as it usually only serves as a conduit to their grossly inappropriate level of unchecked rage, likened to throwing gas on a fire. They will project their own unrestrained emotions on the closest species in their proximity and declare them out of control. Karens will not accept that mistakes can happen. They cannot access compassion, understanding, or empathy, and are prone to othering. After a run-in with a Karen, they will commonly post about it in a public forum. They will miscontextualize the situation, exaggerate events, and will fail to acknowledge their role in escalating an innocuous, harmless exchange. Karens are often accompanied by a soggy paper towel of a husband that will further corroborate the events in the online forum, while shamefully keeping their distance during a rage flight of their wife. For those feeling uncomfortable by this PSA, I recommend you consider the larger issue I am drawing to your attention, and the multiple intersections of privilege and how implicit biases, micro and macro aggressions, may commonly be enacted on a day-to-day basis. Try to learn more about your own positionality and how it might cause you to act towards someone different to you. As important as it is to report Karens, unfortunately the institutions that are designed to protect us are systemically oppressive and often support the type of unchecked privilege that a Karen wields. A final reminder, especially to husbands, that at no time is it appropriate to leave your Karen unleashed. Story number 2 is Me, You Need Glasses, Manager, You Need Counseling by Ableist Mage. This is another tale from my loudmouth co-worker who does a lot of embellishing of stories, so take the facts of this yarn with a grain of salt or relevant salt alternative. But I found enough entertainment from said embellishments and how suitable it was to my writing style that I feel it warranted posting. This one involves a quaint hardware store manager so overdrawn from his give-a-flip account that he snapped on a lady, which I feel was reasonable. I posted another one of his some time ago, the antagonist named Inspector Effing Gadget, IFG, so we will name this lady Nancy Effing Drew. His narrative proceeds. I was visiting some relatives I didn't know well way out of town during the holidays. The senior lady of the house couldn't get her senior-aged husband to make progress on touch-up painting some wooden furniture, or something. And seeing my opportunity for A, more personal space, B, escape from nearly the same decor as the house from Men in Black's Sugar Water Lady, and C, a chance to see the sights of this back county Iowa town, aside from such excitements as the weird hay bale, I volunteered to help out. The hang-up was that I needed a specific hue of paint, and he hated dealing with the incompetent paint-mixing kid at the lone mom-and-pop hardware store. I wasn't the only out-of-towner that day, as the hardware store was lightly swarmed with others of us, including Nancy. Not only did I get to introduce her to my brand of sass, it appeared that the manager of said shop also supplied his own hometown snark. I was so eager to exfiltrate the kitsch of their house that I didn't even bother to emerge from the comfy cocoon of my bedding clothes. I soon found myself next in line, bedecked in the finest Thomas the Tank Engine PJ bottoms, backwards baseball cap with anime patches all over it, and a ramen noodle-themed hoodie. It would be nigh impossible to mistake me for a worker. But did that stop Nancy? Dear listener, it did not. I was next in line at the paint counter with a fleck of the furniture that fast needed fixing, and was about to speak to Incompetence Jr. when Nancy spoke first, handing me a paint swatch. I need 2 cups of this color, make it snappy. I don't have all day. That's not all you need. Well, yes, smart guy, what else do I need? Some upsell bolts. Look, I don't have time to deal with... I interrupt. You need some glasses. I don't think they sell those here. Besides, I don't think paint comes in cups anyway. Oh, is it me that needs glasses? Look at what you're wearing. How could you come to work like that? I'm getting your manager. How indeed could I come to work, adorned in a disheveled college dorm chic? How indeed was it that my attire might instead rather better indicate that I'm not employed here? Such clues as to this mystery evade the burden of the thought process of the wild Nancy. After some brief banter with Junior Paintsmith about how weird that was, I was in the process of handing over the fleck when Nancy comes clop-clopping her cloven hooves with a manager in tow. He bore the expression that he'd reached the limits of his keep-it-together account and was in danger of overdraft. This was no bright-eyed young manager in upscaled grocery eager to please. No, this was a long-time part-owner of a small-town hardware shop in Whistle-and-Spit, Iowa, in his overalls with pencil behind the ear, who, I snicker in imagining, likely set down his banjo and took out the wheat stalk he was chewing, to deal with someone who never had his business to begin with. As she was now well into the 4th bullet point about the audacity of his staffing choices. The manager, managing to get a word in, points to me. You're talking about this guy? Do you see anyone else here in children's pajama pants? The person behind the counter is the employee, ma'am. This is very obviously a customer. You do not need paint. You need counseling. Time froze for a moment before Nancy opened her mouth again to catch the mic before it hit the floor. Nancy, jabbing a long, manicured fingernail into his chest. Your job is gone, bucko. I'm calling corporate, and they are going to come down hard on you for this, harder than you've ever dreamed possible. We don't have a corporate. We got a cash register from 1986. The bell above the door you jingled when you pranced your way in is older than your grandfather. Kindly remove your 99-cent Lee press-on nails from my chest and vacate, or Sheriff Buford Tannen, real name lost to history, will take a special delight in finding out whether your expired plates have warrants, in only the longest way he can muster, making you as late as humanly possible for whatever barn animal cuddle party you need to get to so quickly. Got it? I had the feeling that little speech had been rehearsed. I mean, for my purposes, my second time doing it, because I didn't record the audio first time for the whole video. As it came off the tongue a little too fluidly. Maybe there were the lyrics to whatever bluegrass breakdown he had been composing when she walked up, and thus so readily came to mind. It was good regardless. Nancy, to her credit, knew defeat, but did a teeth-gritted noise, except from what sounded like an auctioneer's bullhorn, as she clop-clopped her way back out, swiping her hand across some boxed ERTL model cars, and ringing said bell again, to find said sheriff already running said plates, and seeing her hand swipe as she looked up. Sorry about that, said the manager, looking down at the fleck. I was still in mid-handoff to the paint brat. I see your resemblance to Mr. my relative, and I gather he still hasn't painted his wife's furniture. I nodded. I actually ran the color codes myself after the second mismatch. I have the best match we can make waiting for him on the house, should he ever make a third visit about it. I'll go grab it. The noise of the once busy small-town hardware shop gradually resumed normal volume, and upon his return from the back, I thanked him for the show and the paint, and a story to relate about how I got it. I can't help but wonder how many times that encounter was repeated over the years, by others within earshot, and to what degree of instant small-town celebrity those who were there suddenly possessed. As I emerged from that establishment, Nancy was cross-armed and fuming. There were multiple little slips of paper the sheriff had written already, and he was giving her an eyebrow-raised inquisitive look that suggested, "Please make additional comments." I gave her a little wink and sailed forth into brighter pastures. The paint-dead match. Story number 3. An adventure in verbal judo, or my first rideshare interaction with a dangerously angry drunk, by Jim March. My recent attempt to get back into trucking didn't go so well. Not my fault, and I can't comment more because a big lawsuit is going to come out in my favor. The following really happened. So, back to being a rideshare driver, unnamed company in a nearby mid-sized city on Halloween night a few days ago. I am supposed to pick up somebody at a downtown bar scene area, and it's crowded wall-to-wall with drunks, mostly college kids. In a situation like this, I know the name of one rider. I can haul up to 5, but just one orders the ride. So I've got my windows down, listening for people shouting my name, plus I'm shouting my rider's name at anybody who seems to be looking for a ride. This isn't like a taxi. I need a specific person or small group. A guy comes up to my driver's side who's big and drunk. After a couple of years of this, I speak fluent drunkese, and this guy's big-time polluted. He yells out a driver name that isn't me. I tell him, "Sorry man, I'm not your ride," politely. I hear somebody female on my right call out my name. Cool, I respond. 3 gals start piling in my back seats. Drunk dude starts belligerently calling out, "Well, ain't that convenient? And where's my ride?" Over and over, getting closer. I told him, "Hey man, sorry, but the whole company is short-handed right now." "What are you talking about?" "I can prove it." And I hold up my hand, which is missing 1 finger. The OP has included a picture in the original post showing the missing digits and the remaining ones. My dudes and dudettes, his brain broke, his vapor locked, dead-ass frozen, didn't say a word for about 2 seconds. I drove off. The 3 girls, previously petrified in the back, completely lost it, laughing their butts off. Okay, yeah, it was funny as hell, but it also turns out that an appropriately absurd gag can completely stun at least some angry drunks. That's actually useful info. I am assuming it has to be slapstick obvious. I'd rather use that than the OC, pepper spray, or 37 rounds 9mm I had on me. Story number 4 today is entitled Man Wants Attention for His Past Trauma by Similar Self 5726. This happened a few years back. A bunch of us knew this entitled dude, we'll call him Dude, in our undergrad days. Dude would always use his past trauma to get attention. Whenever he faced a hurdle, he'll start ranting on about how life was played against him and will vomit all his sob-stories at us. "My mother died of cancer when I was 4. My dad is poor and couldn't provide for me. He only gives me $5 for my birthday." And more sob-stories to get the attention that he needed. Dude had a girlfriend during freshman year, but it didn't last because of his needy and attention-seeking behavior. Then it happens, we all saw it coming, she broke up with him. His life went on a spiral and started throwing all his sob-stories whenever things didn't go his way. His phone contacts were like his concierge service. He would always call someone for help. Dude will call person A because he's good with this, call person B because he knows that he's good with something else. And whenever he was rejected, he would guilt-trip us with his sob-stories. He started calling some of us for his school project work, asking for help. But the help was actually for us to do everything for him. Initially, we gave in, because we just knew this person, and we wanted to help him get through the breakup. Come sophomore year, things got worse. For him and for us. He started doing worse in school and started complaining even more. We sort of saw it coming. I mean, if you do not do well in your freshman year, your foundation is going to be messed up, and it's harder moving forward. Dude didn't change, still hoping for attention, and one of his sob-stories to work on someone. Hoping that different people would eventually bail him out. In fact, he got even lazier and entitled. One of the most embarrassing things he did was to call someone to create an Amazon Prime account for him, because he claims that he doesn't know how to do so. Oh, and yes, we know he can use a phone because he's always on socials. Plus, he's been calling people. Well, actually, someone did try to tell him about his behavior, and it wasn't very well received. In summary, he gaslit this person and responded something along the lines of, "How do you know what I feel? What makes you think I'm getting attention? I really need help. Why are you judging me and thinking that I'm not deserving of help? Did your mum die of cancer when you were young? Did you break up recently? Your family is complete, yes? How could you understand how I feel?" This person gave up eventually. After all, it is never easy to try and reason with someone that uses their trauma as a weapon to get attention. The bunch of us came together and decided that we should just draw our boundaries. We had enough and started distancing ourselves from him. I guess this was a hard decision for us. We came together to think through if we were the a-holes that didn't have patience, or were heartless folks. But we can't just feed into the attention. We knew that Dude chose to stay in that state to get as much attention as he wanted, and he didn't want to change. Eventually we moved on from him. Well, everybody needs a little help sometimes, but it should just be a little help to get you through the difficult times. Your friend there was obviously just playing on it, as you say. I mean, you had his number very early on, it seems. So you really shouldn't feel bad for cutting him off. Hopefully, having to stand on his own 2 feet taught him a valuable lesson. And the fifth and final story today is When Parents Think They Can Demand Anything by Nero Thick. So I'm an English teacher at a secondary school. Recently, I had an encounter with a set of entitled parents who seemed to think the world revolved around their child's convenience, wants, and my schedule. Their child is in another teacher's class. That teacher and I get along great, and we both put in a lot of effort to make sure students are supported. This student still has contact with their previous teacher, and that doesn't help the actual teacher. The actual teacher tries hard, but the student is very rude, makes demands, disrupts the lessons, and tells her teacher to her face that she will ask the other teacher to help her. Whatever this teacher does, it's of no use. She really wants to help, but draws proper boundaries, because she's smart. But apparently these parents didn't like how their children's actual teacher was doing her job. So they contacted me instead. Something that still surprises me, as the previous teacher was an absolute favorite. Another thing that surprises me is that they contacted me. I have never been a teacher to this student, but it seems I have a reputation. They start by asking if I could just give a bit of extra help after class. Okay, fine, I check my timetable, but I'm already stretched thin with marking supervision, my own classes, and other duties I have. I also contacted the actual teacher to see if she knew. She didn't. This is something I don't like. If a student doesn't understand my way of explaining, I encourage them to ask other teachers. If they actually plan on doing this, I give the others a heads up. Transparency, you know? I don't want any awkwardness between me and the other teachers. I politely explain to the parents that I'm not the student's assigned teacher, and that if their child needs help, they should contact their own teacher, who already knows their progress and can adjust their lessons accordingly. I also explain that due to our timetables and my other responsibilities, I don't have time to facilitate this. That's when the entitlement dial hits max. They tell me their child doesn't work well with that teacher, and they expect me to take over the support because you're clearly the better English teacher. Yes, they actually said that. I reminded them, firmly but professionally, that all teachers are qualified and that I can't interfere with another colleague's class structure. Then comes the kicker. They demand that I do the child's oral exam instead of their assigned teacher. Apparently, they don't trust the other teacher to grade fairly, almost like they've been pissing them off, and want someone more competent, i.e. more passive. And they think that's you. That's doubly insulting. I calmly explain that oral exams are standardized across the department and must be done by the class teacher. It's non-negotiable. If it eases their mind, we have camera equipment that is used by student teachers. We can set this up and let another teacher review it when needed. No he said, she said discussion. It's recorded again, transparency. Of course, they don't like that answer either. They try to guilt trip me with, "You care about your students, don't you? And you don't want our child to fail, right?" I stay firm and respond to every email with a CC to the actual teacher. Then, a couple of days after my latest response, the parents and student thought it would be a good idea to come to find me in my classroom, where I'm dealing with one of my own students who just heard the news that her mother was in a terrible car accident, coming to pick her up from school. I hope her mother was okay. They burst in, start making their demands, all of them talking loudly and refusing to leave. I'm done. Our educational assistant knows what I'm dealing with and steps in, and they eventually leave. I think it would be okay to kick the student out at that point so you don't have to deal with any of them. At this point, I escalate the whole thing to the student's mentor and their department head. Our school has several departments, like care and welfare, building, green, cooking, etc. I document the emails, tell them about their visit, and let leadership handle it. Thankfully, the student's department head backs me up completely, reiterating their proper channels and boundaries. The parents try to file a formal complaint against me and the actual teacher. I find out about this when my own department head and principal invite me for a chat. They actually let me read the email, and when I ask them about their opinions, they just start laughing. It is nice when your bosses support you. They know what happened and think I acted professionally, honest and correct. I was told not to worry. The student and their parents would have a meeting later that day with them. The message: the kind and professional version of "don't terrorize my teachers to do your bidding while your own child is being disruptive and unresponsive to a teacher who actually wants to help within professional boundaries." The student did the oral exam with their own actual teacher and did a great job from what I've heard. And that brings us to the end of today's video, for the second time. Big thanks to everyone who allowed me to use their stories. If you'd like to support the channel, you can do so by signing up for my Patreon page, linked down in the description, and you'll also find a link in there to my merchandise store on Teespring if you'd like to get some merchandise. There's also links to my Discord and Threads, and if you need to contact me for any reason, you'll find my email written out down there, kingofthecities@gmail.com, if you need a shout-out of any kind, if you have business inquiries, or you want to send in a story. But for now, I'm going to head off, so until next time, thank you very much for watching, and take very good care of yourselves. Bye-bye.